Welcome to the Cherokee Nation Mock Supreme Court case video on Doe v. Cherokee Nation Department of Natural Resources, presented to the Cherokee Bar Association. The program's purpose is to strengthen legal education through appellate simulation and analysis of tribal sovereignty issues. This case involves a challenge to the retroactive application of a tribal land use ordinance, which affects an existing federal lease. The case parties are the appellant, Lily A. Doe, and the respondent, the Cherokee Nation Department of Natural Resources. The federal lease is a 2012 USFS timber harvest lease under FTA 0107, which creates a vested property interest for the lessee. The tribal ordinance, TLO 2024-01, became effective on July 1, 2024, and designates new conservation zones. A revocation notice was issued on June 12, 2024, claiming retroactive effect on the lease, but provided no hearing to the appellant. The district court ruled with a summary judgment for the DNR, holding that only reasonable notice was sufficient. The issues on appeal address a due process violation and the ultra-vires application of the tribal ordinance TLO 2024-01. The due process standard, under Article 3, Section 5, requires meaningful notice, an opportunity to be heard, and a neutral decision-maker. Vested rights, established by the federal lease, are protected property interests that cannot be impaired without a hearing. The carbon mononitride APA requirements, specifically Section 15 of February 2015, mandate a full evidentiary hearing when a pre-existing right is affected. The retroactivity doctrine, as per Miller v. Cherokee Nation, prevents tribal ordinances from being applied retroactively to defeat vested rights. According to the Montana Rule on Federal Tribal Supremacy, the tribe cannot impair federal interests without express congressional authorization. Statutory limits on DNR in Section 4 of December 103 allow regulation of future leases, but not existing federal agreements. The appellant's case theory focuses on three key arguments: a due process violation due to lack of a full evidentiary hearing, an ultra-vires action where the DNR exceeded its authority, and retroactive impairment of pre-existing federal lease interests. Conversely, the respondent's case theory emphasizes tribal sovereignty, the critical mandate for environmental protection for future generations, and the carbon mononitride APA standard that asserts reasonable notice satisfies due process. The implications for tribal agencies include key procedural mandates, requiring comprehensive evidentiary hearings for due process compliance. They also must respect federal protection, which means agencies cannot retroactively diminish existing federal interests. All agency actions must adhere to carbon mononitride APA legal standards for transparency. For practitioners, this case highlights the complexity of federal-tribal interplay, requiring navigation of tribal sovereignty versus express congressional authorization. Adherence to administrative law via carbon mononitride APA procedures is mandatory to prevent ultra-vires challenges. Finally, due process safeguards demand verification that all evidentiary hearings meet constitutional thresholds. The core case citations supporting the arguments include the Cherokee Nation Constitution, relevant Cherokee Nation Supreme Court cases like Johnson and Miller, and federal cases such as Montana v. United States, alongside the Federal Tribal Forestry Agreement and tribal codes. This concludes our video analysis on the Cherokee Nation Moot Supreme Court case, highlighting the vital role of upholding sovereignty through the rule of law.